Hey everybody, and welcome to Lifehacker. This is for Monday, March 5th.
Oh, good.
That was nice.
I didn't know what day it was.
I had no idea what day it was.
Monday, March 5th.
It's definitely March 5th later now.
This is our second run at the new take on the show, and to start things off today, we're gonna look back at the news from last week, kind of like the big stuff that went on last week, and what we're gonna probably be talking about some going forward this week. So the big thing last week would have been Windows 8.
Windows 8. They released the consumer preview, which is their fancy word for beta. And it wasn't all that different. We didn't see that much that we didn't see in the developer preview, but it was, supposedly a little bit more stable. And we got a bit more of a taste of what the Metro UI is going to look like. And they showed off a lot of tablets with Windows 8 running on them, which they did not do during the developer preview. You couldn't stream the keynote or anything, but it was following live blogs, and mainly what it was showing off the hardware. And so Microsoft has partnered with a lot of hardware manufacturers to make Windows 8 awesome. And
you're pretty excited about the tablet.
Right? I am pretty excited about the tablet. I don't use my iPad for all that much. If I did use a tablet for that much, I would be super in the market for Windows 8 tablet. I really like that you can run two apps side by side. I think that the way they've done that is genius.
If you could take a tablet that is like the iPad or something like that, and you could dock it into a keyboard, and it was basically like this at that point.
Yes,
my laptop.
Yeah. If you had the Asus Transformer with Windows 8 on it, I don't think I could resist, because
no one knows what the Asus Transformer is.
The Asus Transformer, the Asus Transformer is...
the most popular piece of equipment.
It was the most popular. It was our most popular tablet, wasn't it?
I know multiple people that own it or have owned it. Yes. Anyway, the Asus Transformer, for those of you that don't know, was this really cool Android tablet that on its own was a tablet, but you could get a docking station that had a keyboard and touchpad on it. So it was essentially, instead of carrying around a tablet with a Bluetooth keyboard, which is kind of awkward, it was literally like a netbook that you could detach and turn into a tablet, which was really cool. It almost had the best of both worlds, but the mouse was a little awkward to use on the tablet OS, which Windows 8 fixes really nicely. So you can have a tablet when you want it as a tablet, hook it up to a keyboard and mouse, and have a full desktop OS right there. So as long as Windows 8 runs smoothly on these devices and isn't really jerky like Android or something like that, and doesn't eat the battery, then it's going to be a really good merging between the tablet and kind of netbook market, I think, because right now they both kind of have their own niches, and tablets are good for one thing, but they're not really good for work, and like netbooks aren't good for anything because they all suck. So
you're gonna piss off a lot of netbook lovers with
it's just like
really all three of them.
Let's just sum it up with they suck.
I have a netbook and I like it, but it's kind of slow, and like it's always, and with Windows, Windows sucks on it. First thing I did was install Linux on it because Windows is just so slow.
I'd just rather have an 11-inch MacBook Air.
Well, and I think with the way that Ultrabooks are going, I think that's kind of what I think that's the netbook market correcting itself to be like, maybe we'll just make them really thin instead of really small. Yeah. But the idea is that the Windows 8 tablets, I think, are going to fill that niche nicely because they do have a tablet OS for when you want to be doing reading or whatever, and a desktop OS for when you want to get work done.
So You've got it installed, the consumer preview.
I did. I did not.
It's not your main.
It's not my main
partition.
I was a little too scared to do it. My main issue was that you can't upgrade from the consumer preview to the final build.
So here's a question though: are you actually excited to fully upgrade to Windows 8? Because
a lot of people aren't.
Apple's been like Mountain Lion. People are more excited for it.
Yeah.
Lion, not so much. I'm still not running Lion.
I wish I still were running Lion. A lot of people are not at all.
I just have to say, Lion turned out to be a lot less crappy than I expected it to be.
Honestly,
once you get used to it, it's not that bad.
I don't think there's that much to use to it. I was just kind of mad that they got rid of the gestures that I used a lot.
There were a lot of things they got rid of that still pissed me off,
But this is off topic. I was mad. Better Touch Tool fixed everything. Better Touch Tool's a great app.
Yeah.
I'm not so concerned about... I'm not worried that it's... I'm not worried about getting used to it. I could change my scrolling even though you don't have to do it.
It's not the scrolling, it was like the expo side and things like that.
But my point is, it's not that I didn't upgrade or haven't upgraded.
Is that there was nothing in it that you wanted?
There's nothing that exciting The only thing that I actually think I would like would be the gestures to
spaces.
That's
awesome.
really helpful.
That's my favorite part. I think a lot of it. I think a lot of the features are really useful for the average audience. Like resume,
that I
version
really like
saving,
now that
auto
apps
saving.
use it.
Very nice.
Photoshop doesn't use it, but whatever. I keep Photoshop.
At any rate,
I deal with that. But
a lot of people are not at all excited for Windows 8, and I'm like,
really? It sounds. I've been hearing so much hype about that, and everyone's
excited about it for like tablets and stuff. But because the desktop OS hasn't changed much, you have like.
It looks like they added so much good stuff for that, though. Like that seems to be what's exciting.
I'm mildly excited.
Well, what about like the Task Manager?
So the new Task Manager is cool. The new Windows Explorer is pretty cool. I really like the new file copy dialog where you can see like a graph of how fast it's going, and you can pause different file copies to make certain ones go faster.
I can't understand why nothing has queued.
You can pause.
Yeah, so that's what's cool is that you can queue it and you can.
But you pause it, but then does it resume when the other one finishes?
No, I don't think it works like that. It doesn't have like straight up queuing, but it has more granular control where you can like pause an individual one and let.
And if you're copying multiple files and some of them are replacing files in the destination, you can choose which ones replace the files and which ones.
Oh, that's nice.
Don't like that whole dialogue is really nice too. So like that's the stuff that I'm excited about. But there are only a few of those things that get me excited. So I'll definitely upgrade, and I'll definitely like be stoked about it. Honestly, the thing I'm most excited about, I'm really glad those rounded corners on the windows are going away, because those are ugly.
I think it's interesting though, because ultimately what's happened though at this point is that it's a lot harder than ever to make a new version of an operating system that's like really that exciting.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't really know what I would want.
I think we're in kind of more of an app world now, where it's like you don't look to the operating system to provide you with all of these like whiz bang features. You're kind of like, and Windows has for historical reasons never packaged much in it in terms of like whiz bang applications that come with it, because they ended up in antitrust lawsuits and whatnot. But like it's hard because like you're saying things like the Task Manager, which is like cool, but like who
but not
cares?
Worth upgrading for. Like, it's just a nice.
I do care, but like in a perfect world, you don't need to use the Task Manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Like those are things they're like pain points that you're only even dealing with when something painful is happening. Same with the copy stuff. It's cool, but it's like, in a perfect world, it would never be a problem. It's only solving things that are
they've
kind
mainly
of
fixed annoyances rather than added new features.
Anyway, but that's not. I don't think necessarily.
But
Microsoft doing something
I'm mostly
bad.
okay with that.
Yeah, that's all fine. It's really the pricing that's gonna make a difference.
That's the thing. None of those features are not going to be worth.
Because if Windows Ultimate is like if you get the Task Manager by buying Ultimate, but no one else gets it.
Windows Home has the old Task Manager.
Sorry,
you got to upgrade to Windows Ultimate for $300.
That's not even funny.
$200.
Wait, no, it's not, because it's possible.
I know.
Okay. So anyway, Windows 8.
Yep.
We're looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited to try it out on a tablet, and I want to form more of an opinion then.
Yeah, and we're working on getting a tablet here that we can
hopefully show off to you guys.
Test it out. So yeah, cool. Moving along. Last week, March 1st, was the first day of Google's new privacy policy. In case you're unfamiliar with the change, Google basically said, hey, we've got all these services that we own. Now, across all of them, we're going to treat you as the same user, and we're going to treat your data as accessible to all of our other products. So YouTube history is shared with your Google search history, is shared with your Gmail history, and they're basically using all of this stuff to make Google sell ads to you better. Yeah. I mean, which is fine. That's their model. But basically, Google's coming at it trying to say this is the point of this is to give you a more seamless,
consistent experience across Google services.
Which, let's be frank, I guess I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not going to notice a difference at all.
I don't know what they're going to be doing. That's actually going to. What it actually means is more things like search plus your world, which no one wants.
Probably.
Which is not a more seamless.
Yeah.
Seamless and what? What's the second word?
I don't remember.
You said
consistent.
Anyway, but this is what's happening.
It just, I don't really. People are panicking about this a lot, and it really doesn't bother me.
I don't care. No one at Google is like out to get me, where they'd be like, oh.
Well,
if they're out to get me, they're already getting me in other ways.
Yeah.
I think the issue I mean, there are different ways.
I think the issue is that people don't want things that they searched for on one site to just kind of show up on other sites. When you're like browsing and so, like, you know, something will kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, but show whoever's standing behind you what you've searched on YouTube because it's trying to sell you ads or something, and then you're like, oh, I didn't search for that.
Yeah, so you don't want your Justin Bieber videos popping up in Google Docs.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm trying. Yeah.
I also think there's also something beyond that, where because most of us who use Google, when people use Google at this point, Facebook, like heavy users, everyone sort of has this idea where it's like, I don't know, whatever. I use this. I like it a lot. They probably are going to use my
serve whatever
data
ads
for
they want to me.
something, and you sort of make a tacit agreement with like God and Google that like you're going to be okay with it. I do think though there's also an issue of just like the disingenuousness of Google being like, the reason we're doing this is to make your life better, which it's not. I mean, it's not to say that like. I'm not faulting Google for being a company that wants to like sell ads better, but like there's a certain irritation that comes across when someone's like, "I'm doing it for you, man. This is for you. It's because I love you and I want to make your life better."
Yeah.
And like I think that's more. If there were any, there's nothing in this whole series of sort of like the news blitz that came after it where Google's response was like, "Here is how this is going to make your life better."
Yeah.
There's nothing, and whatever.
But again, like, what else do you expect them to say? Like, I don't.
This is what I expect. Okay, I don't expect them to say this, but this is what I'd like them to say. I'd like them to say, we're going to give you some really great free services, and they're not really free. You're not going to pay for them with money. You're going to pay with them with your information, and we're going to advertise to you. And that's what we're taking, and in return, here you go. Here's Google Docs and Gmail and all this stuff.
Oh, honesty? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
No, but why not?
I mean, it's a good point.
Frankly, there are possibly things that I am not considering that they will be able to do that I might love with like this collapsing of data. I don't know what they are.
I'd like to be.
You want to be actually told me.
You want to be sold like an actual thing, not an idea or concept that has
at any rate
become.
If you are one of the people that is not happy with the new privacy policy, or would rather that your search history and YouTube search history just not be around for Google to show all the world and provide you with customized ads.
Well, show all the world is a little excessive, isn't it?
Well, YouTube really does make a big point to recommend videos to you and show what you've recently watched on their page if you're logged in when watching videos.
Yeah, but that's with people who are looking at your computer screen. It's not
broadcasting it. But you know, when you crowd around the computer on a Saturday night to watch YouTube videos.
Right. To be clear, though, it's basically... the amount of data they share and where they share it will depend on like they will share, for example, if you have my email address in your Gmail, then my they'll use like my Google Plus profile type stuff to populate contact information in Gmail. Like there are ways in which they're like interacting. That's not exciting to me really. But anyway.
At any rate, if you go to the site, we've done a few guides that show you how to clear your Google search history for your account and your YouTube search history and stop it from logging things like that in the future if you would prefer to not have this customized, seamless, consistent experience.
Yes,
you just made it sound good in the here.
So YouTube.
It was supposed to be ironic.
YouTube and Google, you basically just go into your settings and you say you can say like remove my search history, and then you can
pause your search
stop
history.
indexing it. Yep. So yeah, it's funny.
You know what's really funny is that you say that like. As I made the video that showed you how to delete your YouTube search history, I got people making fun of me for my YouTube search history in the video. Because they didn't know what the searches were for.
What were they for?
It's a long story. There's a song called Set Fire to Everybody. It's a mashup between Adele and Skrillex. And everyone was like, what is Whitson setting fire to?
Yeah.
I do. It's funny though, I also have, I deleted my search history. Did you? Did you guys delete your Google search history?
No. I didn't. So I went to go delete it, and it was never turned on.
Oh, you know what?
I think I might have turned it off years ago.
Mine is off. I did turn it off because I got paranoid one day for some reason, And then I've been getting mad because it's not saving any cookies now. And
so basically, all of us are saying that this isn't a big deal, but we've all turned it off.
Well, I would turn it back on, but I've been too lazy.
I turned mine off just because I don't want Google embarrassing me in some way I don't know yet.
That must be why it doesn't understand who I am when I go to see like how old it thinks I am, and because it thinks I'm a 40-year-old maid.
So part of what it was actually hard for me though, because I like the weird like quantified self statistics you get through that sort of thing, like how many tens of thousands of Google searches I've done, and like it was a little hard for me to delete it because occasionally I'll go and like be like, interesting, I did this X thousand searches this month or this.
You can see like what your first Google search was way back when you got your Google account.
So it's but whatever. It's also like it's not something I ever use, and if I could get that same sort of information without the strings attached, maybe.
And I don't really click on Google's ads enough to care about the customized ads based on what I search for.
Okay, so this brings us to something not exactly the same but similar. We posted about a website this last week called Unsubscriber, which is a site that you go to and you grant access to your email account. I think it supports...
Is that out of beta now?
It's not... There's more than one that we've talked about before. Unsubscriber is actually different. I think you might be thinking of Unroll Me.
Unroll Me, yeah.
But basically, you give these things access to your Gmail or email accounts, and they go through and they're like, oh, here are all of the newsletters you're subscribed to.
Well, I can
Which ones do you want to unsubscribe to? The catch is, for a lot of these services, and not just these unsubscription ones, but say something like TripIt, if you give them access to your Gmail to automatically get your trip information into
which
their
is
service.
Such a great service.
Yeah, but you had a problem with it too, didn't you? Where it would sometimes, like if it would go into your Gmail account and be able to filter through things, it would pick up stuff you didn't want it to.
Yeah, and sometimes I might have it turned on now. At one point I was just sticking with the forwarding, because it's not hard to forward a receipt to trips at tripit.com or something like that. But it is nice, the convenience of being like, just go in my email, and if something is, show up. Slice is something I use now.
But as soon as you do that, you're turning on, you're saying, go into my email. It does feel a little...
Yeah. And Slice will go in, and anything I order...
Ever.
Virtually anywhere. Slice is like, you ordered something. And it's awesome because then it'll take my tracking information and I can look, it'll give me push notifications like it's out for delivery, stuff like that. It's great. But the cost of that convenience, of course, is that you're giving company
a lot of information
that you don't know. So Google, everyone sort of has like this trust for, where it's like, Google, they're probably not going to sell me out. And so they're like, okay, whatever, they can have all of this data about me. But when you authorize a service like one of these, like Unsubscriber or Slice or TripIt, you're basically giving them carte blanche to rifle through your inbox and trusting that they're going to be cool with it. Andy Bio wrote a post middle of last month called "The Perpetual Invisible Window into Your Gmail Inbox." It was sort of about this issue when he tried out Unroll Me. And at the time was just sort of talking about the privacy issues and what you're giving people with this. And it's weird because like I'm relatively like private about that sort of stuff, but I really like Slice. At the same time, you also can make those concessions with more companies than just Google. You can be like, I'm deciding the trade-off is worth it and I trust Slice enough. And it's scary to like be like, because it literally is. They have access to all your email.
Yeah, and it's also, when the service is free, it's a little... I feel like my paranoia goes up then because, well, what are they getting out of it? The only thing they're getting out of it is access to my inbox. So therefore, what is this going to...
You could be the product being sold.
With Slice, though, it sounds like they're really just looking for product information, and I have no problem letting a company know what I buy because I'm very good at ignoring those sorts of requests. I've been doing it for a while.
So the other thing about it is Google and other services do this. They give these people access to your account using OAuth, which is just an authorization scheme in which basically you can grant a service access to your account without giving that service your password, which like is a safer way to do this process, and it makes it easy. If you go to your Google settings, your account settings, you can revoke any service that you've given access to at any time, which in fact if you go to...
Which I regularly go back and will just be like, what are all these services that I tried out once upon a time and don't use anymore, and revoke access for all of them?
So if you go to the link on your screen, because I don't know the URL right now, you can see your authorized accounts, the connected sites, apps, and services that have access to your Google account, and there are varying levels of access that you can give. You can give them just access to like your contacts, to your email, to your calendar, to just your email address. Like
not unlike when you download an app to Android or install an app on Facebook, you're gonna get permissions to certain things, not just free reign over your Gmail account.
It's good to mention Facebook too. Also, still has these problems.
I actually think Google could be a little bit more straightforward about, not straightforward because they lay it out, but just like explicit in some way about what access you're granting. Because it basically says, like if I go to Unsubscriber, if I go to their website, which I'm doing now, I enter my email address to get started, and then I click a Let's Go button. It puts me to Google accounts, third-party services requesting permission to access your Google account. I click continue and it says unsubscriber.com is requesting access to my Google account for the products listed below. Email address adam.patch@gmail.com. I don't even know what that means. I guess that means they really have access to knowing what my email address is, which is a weird thing to tell me. And then item number 2, Gmail. No description of what that means. When in actuality what it means is like all of my email in my Gmail inbox, which is actually information that would be good to spell out. It's funny because they spell out my email address -adam.pash@gmail.com. Gmail. Crickets. Anyway, it's interesting though because everyone gets up in arms when Google makes a change, or when any sufficiently large site makes a sweeping privacy change, and for good reason. But then there's also like it kind of forces you to look at the smaller things that you have control over that you're just being really careless about and flinging around left and right. So anyway, I don't know. So you guys are pretty free with relatively free with it? You go for it?
For the most part.
I'm just something bad will happen to me at some point in my life. So I'm just ready and waiting.
Wow.
I mean, I take precautions, but I don't want to make myself crazy about it.
Look forward to that.
So actually, if you go to our Weekend Hacker post from Friday, March 2nd.
Yes.
Friday, March 2nd, we go through a lot of different things you can do for this privacy audit, going through Google and Facebook and turning off location tracking on your phone and things like that. So that's a good place to start to jog your memory.
All rolled up in a nice little package, courtesy of Wits and Gordon.
You can't, those of you not watching the video can't tell, but I'm giving you 2 thumbs up right now.
All right, time for some questions.
Yeah. Let's go change our clothes first.
Like the Pokemon thing.
All right, now it's time to take some questions. Let's start off with Alex, who writes, I'd like to set up a home media server that houses and streams stored movies to multiple TVs and computers within the household. My 2 older TVs are not streamable, although one is connected to a PS3. I will be adding a 3rd TV that will be streamable. I'm not enamored by the PS3's ability to play with others. Is there one device that would solve my problem, or would I need a device for each TV unit? Or do TV/DVD players these days have this ability already built in? I feel I'm trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, especially since I got rid of my Mac and went back to a PC.
It sounds like he's making it a little bit more complicated than it is. I guess I don't have a PS3. I don't really know what he means by that it doesn't play well with others. But
I've heard it's pretty difficult. I mean, anything Sony makes is hard to use.
This I do know they have this reputation, but I don't know exactly what's difficult. I do know that it's very UPnP compatible. So if you just have something like PS3 media server on your computer, it should stream that to any UPnP capable device in the house, which includes a lot of things like the PS3. So the PS3 should be fine on whatever TV you put it on. If you're getting a streamable TV, you can depending what streamable means, if you have Google TV on it, or you could get the Plex app, which you use.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, the Plex app is really great for. I think that's great because you can run it on Mac or Windows, and then if you want the interface,
very cross-platform, and the interface is fantastic.
Yeah, it really is.
So, like you said, I think not all TVs, but a lot of TVs may have this capability now. If you get maybe a Google TV compatible TV, I don't really know about DVD players and things like that, but I don't think I've gotten one. I think the more expensive ones might have it, but I don't. But the bottom line is
UPnP. You're saying
UPnP
and Blu-ray
is compatible with almost everything. So if you just get PS3 Media Server running on your Windows PC, any new-ish, probably Blu-ray player, DVD player may have it. You'll have to check. If not, you can just get a Roku box or something like that. There's no one device that will stream it to all of your TVs in the house. You will need a box, doesn't it?
It's actually not very good.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, but
the bottom line is, there's no. As far as I know,
Digital makes a good one.
Okay.
Well, they make a decent one. It's like Western Digital's WD TV HD Live. I think.
And how much is that?
It's like $100 or $100.
So, or for that, you could get an Apple TV and just install something like XBMC on it, or just use the Apple TV.
If you jailbreak.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Whitson, for those people listening who don't know what UPnP is.
I'm sorry, UPnP stands for Universal Plug and Play. It's the idea is essentially to be able to stream a very universal protocol for streaming media, which is what's so great about it is that it's very ubiquitous. It works with almost anything that would have streaming capability in it. They will all support UPnP, which means your PS3, which means the Western Digital thing, which means the Apple TV,
XBMC. Well, not the Apple TV.
Western Digital will pick up for
the Apple TV. Won't do it.
Apple TV doesn't stream video.
Okay.
Well, it does if it does like I think.
So a jailbroken Apple TV running MC or anything that runs XBMC. But your question is, there's no, as far as I know, there's no one device you could put in your house that will stream it to all of your devices. You will need to have either a streaming capable TV, a streaming capable Blu-ray player, or some other box that supports UPnP streaming. But with PS3 Media Server and some sort of compatible device hooked up to all of your TVs, it should be very simple.
Basically,
if you have a streamable TV and a PS3, you're already 2/3 of the way there. You only need something for that one last TV, and it shouldn't cost you more than $100.
I don't think the WDTV Live does UPnP. It does like you can do Samba shares or whatever.
Okay, then I would look for something that's UPnP capable because it's A, dead simple, and B, will already work with your streamable TV and your PS3.
Whitson has a post on Lifehacker all about UPnP.
We'll put it in the show notes. It's very simple to do.
I think I should put you on like a show note.
I will take show note responsibility for putting all of the links in the show notes because I like to say that a lot.
All right.
You just said it.
Moving along.
I just like to spit out links.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we've got a voicemail.
Okay, this comes from a reader in Chicago who says,
what is the best and preferably free software that lets people sign PDF documents? Thanks.
All right. So what's the best thing or what is a preferably free application that lets you digitally sign PDF documents? And there are actually a lot of options. There was one on for OS X called PDF Pen that used to be like.
I still use that.
See, I don't use PDF Pen anymore because it's like, first of all, it's not free. It's like $35 or something like that.
I think I got it in a bundle or something, so I ended up with a copy of it. But yeah, I mean, it's a deterrent because they charge a lot for what it is.
And better yet, there are now apps for the iPhone, for Android, that actually let you use your finger and physically draw on your signature, which is considerably more useful than trying to sign using a mouse on your computer. So for iOS, it looks like we've written about an app called Sign and Send, which was free in the App Store at the time we wrote it up, and currently apparently it's $5. So,
but there are a bunch.
There might be a free.
You can probably find something. For Android, there's an app called Fill and Sign PDF Forms.
Very well named.
Creatively named, but I'm sure it works for searches, and it is free. I haven't used it, but it claims to do what you're asking for.
But if you do want to do it on a desktop, or if you don't have a smartphone, Lion Preview has that feature built in.
Yeah, well, it's more, you don't actually sign on the trackpad, but it's like you sign on a piece of paper, hold it up to your FaceTime camera.
Right,
which is kind of cooler. Your FaceTime camera.
Whatever, if you got an eyesight or FaceTime.
Sure thing, Mr. Jobs. Yeah. So the other thing is, but that's only in Lion. That came to preview in Lion, and it's a super cool feature.
It works really well, though.
And on Windows, you can get Nitro PDF, which I believe is free. None of our favorite PDF readers and editors have that feature in the free version, but Nitro PDF does.
Cool.
All right. Moving along, Anand writes, I'm currently running a jailbroken iPhone 4 and I'm looking to upgrade to 5.0.1. However, if I do upgrade, will I lose all my settings and customizations? Or is there a way to back it up so that once I have upgraded, I can revert to my previous settings? Adam?
Yes. Yes, you will lose everything, and no, I don't even remember what it was. You'll lose everything, but you can back it up. Package backup is our jailbreak utility, not ours, someone else's. It's like $8 or something, and it lets you basically save all your jailbreak settings to an address book file, and then when you or you can save it to Dropbox, and then when you go ahead and restore your jailbreak with 5.01 or whatever, you just install that app, say I want to restore from a backup, here's where the backup is, and then it does it. And we have a whole guide on it. Yeah.
It's very nicely done.
So that'll be in the show notes. I will take responsibility for that one.
All right. Now we have a call from Honolulu.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah. So here we go.
Hey guys, first of all, your show is freaking awesome. Hey, this is Faith.
I like this guy.
I just had a quick question for you guys. I do a lot of traveling because I work for the government and I do a lot of traveling internationally. Is there any way that you can kind of safeguard your hard drives and your portable media when you're going through X-rays and things? I've heard a lot of reports about, Big Brother being able to scan your electronics without you being aware and all that. And some people talk about wrapping their things up in aluminum foil and all kinds of silly nonsense. But is there any truth to it that you guys are aware of? You can actually travel with a little bit of confidence that that your stuff your data is secure. Thanks a lot, guys, and keep the show up. It's freaking awesome. Bye.
So there's a couple of things going on here. First of all, it seems like, from one perspective, it sounds a little bit like there's a concern that when you put your stuff through the X-rays, that it could damage your data in some way, which is not true, to my knowledge, unless something new has happened recently on that
airplane.
But no, the X-rays, your stuff's perfectly safe going through an X-ray machine. If that is a fear, it probably originated with the idea that magnets could damage hard drives. Though actually that is largely based in myth as well. Extremely strong magnets
put right up next to your hard drive could move
with like platters, right? with a physical hard drive, an HDD, a degausser or something that's designed to wipe physical media like VHS tapes and stuff like that, could potentially with like an HDD, but flash hard drives, solid state drives, things like that, according to an article Busting the Biggest PC Myths by Greg Kaiser over at PC World, the power of a magnet powerful enough to disturb the electrons in flash would be powerful enough to suck the iron out of your blood cells.
Wow.
So I'm guessing, actually I guess that quote comes from Bill Frank, Executive Director of Compact Flash Association.
Well,
he probably knows what he's talking about.
He's got his interests. But anyway, so if that's your concern, that's not a concern, and that's twice removed from what you're saying anyway. If your concern is about the X-ray machines somehow being able to read the data on your hard drive, I've never heard anything like that. That sounds very... and you're also talking about wrapping it in tinfoil.
There's the tinfoil hat for your hard drive.
I'm wondering if that's where this is all coming from. Ultimately, though, obviously, if you have unencrypted data on a hard drive and it goes through a scanner and someone then takes it and opens your computer or takes your hard drive and plugs it in and starts reading it, they could get your data that way. To protect against that, you would want to encrypt your hard drive. And we have posts on the site about that. Do either of you guys encrypt your drives?
No, I'm very unparanoid though.
I'm probably not as safe as I should be in some of these things. I also don't store very much on my laptops.
Yeah.
I barely work from them. I don't have LastPass automatically log me in or anything like that. So if someone to give my laptop, it's like
we should talk about this sometime.
You get my comic books.
We should bring in Jason Chen, who encrypts his hard drives after having a run-in with law enforcement.
He's got a good reason.
Stole all of his computers for months and months. So maybe we'll revisit the topic sometime.
Yeah, I know on OS 10 it's extremely easy, and I think on Windows all you need is you can just use File Vault, and on Windows you can just download a separate program that'll do it. It's very simple, so there's no reason not to really.
Just one more thing though before we move on the damage front, because he mentioned portable media too. Samsung makes these flash cards. I think it's more than just SDHC. I think there's micro SD and some others that are in a brushed metal casing, and they are resistant to water damage, magnets, which apparently is not an issue, and shock. So if you're really worried about damaging your portable media, and your portable media happens to be a flash card, then that's a good option. And they're really not that expensive, and they're fast.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right, moving on. Albert writes, I wonder if I can share my internet connection from a laptop or desktop with my other devices without using a router, preferably the free software route. And you absolutely can.
Absolutely. As long as the computer is hardwired to the internet, which it sounds like. Yeah. So if you don't have a router, I'm assuming that you've plugged your computer directly into the modem. You won't be able to do it over Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, you wouldn't be able to do it if the main computer was connected via Wi-Fi, but you can share it via Wi-Fi just with an ad hoc connection on Windows or with
internet sharing
through the sharing preference pane in OS 10. You literally check a box, and it will share your internet. It's extremely easy. I've done it before. It's incredible.
Yeah, and even like he may have a router. He may be like, it could be like I'm at Starbucks and I want to share my Starbucks internet connection. I don't know how well that would go, but but I mean in that case that works too. I suppose as long as you're plugged in, you wouldn't be plugged into it at Starbucks. Now, maybe like the office.
Are there any?
Because it can still go through a router, is what I'm saying.
Right. Are there any concerns with this speed wise? Because I've only used it out of necessity when I was like in a basement and not near my.
I don't know. I haven't done it since the last time I did. I shared an internet connection via FireWire when I was in college, and that was maybe 2003. So I don't remember. I don't remember if there were speed issues.
That's something you may want to check up on. I'm not really sure why you don't want to use a router necessarily. You can get routers pretty cheap these days. I got an insane Wi-Fi router.
You may not have access to the router.
Let's say you're in a hotel and
for situations like that, absolutely, this is incredible, and that's what I've used it for, and it has worked more than fine.
Yeah.
It sounded when he said desktop, I'm thinking like in your house instead of a router, which I don't know why you necessarily need to do that if you can buy a great Wi-Fi router for $30. But answering the question, the question is yes, you can. It's very easy.
He's got his reasons. So
also, so you do it using the default Windows tool.
I haven't done it since I switched to Windows.
Because Connectify was a Windows app that sort of manages setting up an ad hoc wireless connection. That was very good. But is it built? It's an option built into Windows?
I think
now?
It's built into Windows.
Maybe it's. Here's what I remember: is when Windows 7 had the feature built into it in like the betas, and then I feel like they pulled it or something. Anyway, Connectify is a cool app that sort of does that and a little more. But I guess the Pro version is $30, so that's a lot. Anyway, and you said on Lion, it's in the sharing.
Lion or snow leopard for that reason.
No, it's been around.
Snow leopard, you go
it's been around since 2003.
But
I can verify.
In Snow Leopard, you click the Wi-Fi, the airport icon, you click create network, and you create an ad hoc network.
Oh no, it's easier than that.
Yeah, there it
it's
is.
easier than that. You go into system preferences, sharing, and check the box under internet sharing.
Why is that easier? Well, the Wi-Fi thing's in your menu bar already.
Yeah,
but creating an ad have a network share your internet?
Yeah, that's exactly what it does.
Well, I'm not really sure what the difference is here.
Boom.
Oh, you can share it over Bluetooth even.
Anyway.
Which is also nice. Although I'm not sure if that's the data is fast.
A lot of options. It's really easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll be pleased with the results. All right, so now it's time for our downloads of the week. This is a segment in which we talk about our favorite downloads from the previous week that we featured on Lifehacker. If you didn't put that together.
From the title, Downloads of the Week.
Okay, so the first app on the list?
Pocket Doorbell, which was this really cool app that you found this week that is essentially, it's for iPhone.
It was
only, unfortunately.
It was a group effort because you found it, you reviewed it, and my
we
iPhone.
had to test it on his phone. You literally pull it up, and you can't see this. It's literally just one screen with a picture of a doorbell on it, and
Wait, back up a second. What is this app? What operating system does it run?
I said it was on
iPhone.
I said it.
Here's the thing. I'm still confused. Okay, so doorbell app. You download it, you install it, you launch it. What happens?
It's a picture of a doorbell.
I know.
Download and install it. It's a picture of a doorbell.
I'm just trying to get you back on track.
I was on track. You download and install it. It's a picture of a doorbell. And the idea is that all you need to do is pull up this app, press the doorbell button, and it will call whoever's house you are at. So it combs your contacts and finds the addresses that you've put in Google Contacts, and then determines your location.
Oh, does it do Google
Contacts? Sorry, not Google Contacts. Your iPhone's contacts, which can be synced with Google, but your address book. So if I'm standing in front of Adam Pash's doorway, and I have his address in my contacts list, I pull up doorbell, it detects that I'm at Adam Pash's house, puts his name on the screen, and I just hit the doorbell button and it will call him because it knows that I'm at his house. If you don't have addresses in your contact list, the first time you go to someone's house and ring the doorbell, it'll ask you whose house you're at, and then from then I will remember. It's just nice because that way when you pull up to someone's house, you don't have to go searching through your contacts for their phone number or whatever. You just literally pull up this app, hit the doorbell button, and it'll call or text them.
And then you say,
"Let me in."
And you say, "Let me
outside.
in, homie."
Is that necessary?
Unfortunately, this doesn't. The one downside to this, it's necessary to say homie.
Oh, that's kind of a.
The one downside to this is that it doesn't really work with. They can't buzz you in if they have one of those buzzing systems like me and Dotchis have.
No, I can buzz in from my phone.
Yes, but I have to dial from the buzzer system.
Oh, that's right.
So this wouldn't work in place of your actual doorbell. But if the person doesn't have a buzzer system like that, it's nice that you can just hit them.
Or say you're going to pick up a friend.
Yeah, and you can just hit the doorbell to let them know you're outside.
And you hate her boyfriend. So you're always like, "Hey, I'm outside. Come to the car."
I'm in the bushes around the corner.
That is probably the use case for this app.
Doorbell. Get it today.
It's 99 cents. Go pick it up, App Store.
What else is there?
Okay, second, Collusion. Collusion is a Firefox extension, and apropos of our discussion about privacy and tracking on the internet, Collusion is an extension that you install in Firefox, and when you enable it and then visit a website, it creates this wonderful little... It's not a mind map because it's not.
Yeah, it's like
a mind
lines
map.
With dots.
It creates nodes of who's tracking you. So if I
visual
go
representation,
and if you're watching the podcast, you'll see this on the screen right now.
Yes,
the video.
Absolutely.
But basically, a little dot will appear on the screen. I visit the New York Times. That's a dot in the center, and then as the page is loading, all of these advertisers and various tracking mechanisms are setting cookies in my browser and whatever. As that's happening, this one little dot is sprouting nodes where it's like this site tracked you, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. So it's like the New York Times is here, and here are like 8 different sites who are also paying attention to what I'm doing now. And then as you continue surfing, this sort of creates a crazy web where there's all these tracking going between different sites, and they're sharing certain trackers and having their own trackers in other ways. And it's just it's not useful in the sense that
you can do anything about it.
But it basically is a really good way to get a better understanding of sort of how you're tracked when you're doing things on the internet. And if you hover over one of the nodes, it'll give you some information about like whatever that service is that's tracking you. Basically, it's just a really interesting way to sort of get an idea of like a more concrete idea of what's happening in those tracking ways, because it's a very abstract concept, and if you don't actually see something, who cares? Mm-hmm. But once you actually see it, it might help you understand a little bit more the impact and like how that's all happening constantly below the surface.
Cool.
Collusion for Firefox, if you're interested in checking it out, you can get it at internet.com example/collusion extension.
Or right here. I don't know if I'm pointing to it, but
it'll be in the show notes as well.
Yes,
that's what we meant by that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and again on the privacy front, which we're a little heavy on this week, but it's been a big privacy week, is one of our favorite browser extensions for beefing up privacy.
HTTPS everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. So you'll notice that when you go to a site like Lifehacker, up in the address bar, it says http:// whatever.
It's a // Why does everyone say //
/ whatever.
You know, I never.
Windows.
I say it because I will never in my life. That's like one of those things that I will never remember
which one is which. And you'll probably notice that when you go to certain sites like Gmail or Mint or sometimes Facebook, sites where you might be sharing more sensitive information, it will say HTTPS. That S stands for security. I think that I might have just made that up.
Secure.
But just remember, you can remember
secure.
that stands
HTTP secure.
It stands for secure. And the idea is that it encrypts the data that you send between your computer and that site, so that someone on the same network as you can't sneak in and steal your personal information.
Man in the middle of your data.
Man in the middle of your data. So what a lot of sites like Gmail and Facebook lets you turn on HTTPS in the settings so that whenever you visit the site, it uses this
It's actually
secure...
the default on Gmail.
It's the default on Gmail. I don't think it's the default on
Facebook.
You have to go into Facebook's privacy settings.
I thought that...
I could be wrong.
It might now be the
default. I turned it on when it wasn't the default.
But basically there are a lot of sites.
There are a lot of sites for which it isn't the default. Mm-hmm. And HTTPS everywhere changes that, essentially, and makes sure that every site that it supports, which is over 1,400 sites now, and you can add your own as well.
It's not the default
on Facebook. Way to go, Facebook! Weird. I'm giving you 2 thumbs up again, but this time it's ironic. Yeah. Essentially, HTTPS everywhere. Make sure that you're using HTTPS on as many sites as possible.
So if you visit Facebook...
If you visit Facebook without having turned that setting on, but you have HTTPS everywhere installed, it will default to HTTPS. It'll
automatically redirect you to the secure version.
So this week, this has been out for Firefox for a long time. This week they released version 2.0 for Firefox, which adds a new feature that lets you know when a site might be insecure. But more importantly, they finally released an extension for Chrome. So Chrome users can finally get in on this action. If you're not using this for Firefox or Chrome, you really should. Just all you need to do is install it, and that's it.
I'm installing it right now. I didn't install it earlier this week.
Do it. You can go in. You can go in and edit preferences and add sites that if there are sites that it doesn't support, you can add them. But it does support over 1,400 sites, and it's literally just install it and keep browsing the web. You'll be more secure. It's awesome.
Sweet.
HTTPS everywhere. You can get that from the EFF, eff.org/https-everywhere.
Wait, but what's the EFF?
It's the Electronic Frontier Foundation. They are a pioneer in the world of electronic rights in the digital world. We're big fans of the EFF here at Lifehacker.
Real thumbs up this time.
Straight up, unironic thumbs up for the EFF.
We just have a list of things in the show notes to which we've given thumbs up to.
Real thumbs up, ironic thumbs up, and thumbs down.
The thumbs up.
They can put little badges on their site, like, we got a thumbs up from Lifehacker.
The thumbs up index. Finally,
speaking of index,
I was going to say, we actually already have something like that. It's called the App Directory.
And this is for our favorite apps across platforms, Windows, Mac, Linux, and Android, iPhone. And this week's app directory was for the desktop, quick file uploaders. Who wants to go first, Windows or Mac?
Let's just go in the order of the post.
Let you do that.
Okay. This one was my idea.
Yes.
Because I love my quick file uploaders.
Wait, first, tell me, what is a quick file uploader?
Well, it's the sort of thing where it sits in your dock or your system tray or somewhere on the desktop, and you drag a file onto it, and it uploads that file onto the internet. And it can upload potentially to a service, which you're going to tell us about, and then on the Mac, or I'm sorry, not on the Mac. On the Mac, the one I picked for the Mac was one that uploads to different services, and there are a lot of different interesting options. So,
in best case scenario, it will copy the link.
Oh yes, copy the link to the clipboard. Yeah,
so you can share that file with all of your friends.
So it's very easy to quickly share a file with anyone. Okay,
exactly.
And so yours is.
My favorite was called Doc Drop. I'm getting it mixed up with Drop Zone, which is the new version, I guess, that costs $14. But Doc Drop is
still free, still available.
It's still free. It supposedly only works with OS 10, 10.4, and 10.5, but it happens to work with 10.6 and 10.7.
I've been using with 10.6. So if you got a file you want to share, it just sits in your dock, and you drag it, drop it onto the icon,
and you get a link.
And it does the magic, and the link is copied to your clipboard.
Of course, you have to set it up with an FTP server, SFTP server. WebDAV, or it will upload to Flickr. But if you do want the alternatives, they're the same developer made Drop Zone, which is expensive, but has way more options and is also a lot prettier.
Cool.
Or you can use something like Cloud App, which has its own server.
Right.
Yeah. So like you're just uploading it to a very specific service that you can then use to share.
Which is a phenomenal segue to the Windows.
Right. So Cloud App is a Mac app, but the Windows quick file uploader scene is kind of crappy.
Yeah.
So the best we could come up with was the Windows clone of Cloud App, which is called Fluffy App. Essentially sits in your system tray, and you can drag a file to the system tray icon. It will upload it to Cloud App's web app and copy the link to your clipboard. It works pretty well. It's definitely the only one that I actually liked on Windows. The other ones were kind of buggy. What's
the one that's kind of like Doc Drop for Windows?
There's one called Drop F, I believe.
Yeah.
That works with FTP servers, but I had trouble connecting it to FTP servers. And if you go to the website, it has confusing. Yeah, the configuration is a little confusing, and there's definitely still some bugs in the software that they're working out. Hopefully they'll get, because in theory it looks like a great app. It's just not there yet, I don't think.
It worked fine for me after I figured it out, and I have that post that kind of shows how to configure it, so we can put that in the show notes.
I think it also depends on the kind of FTP server you have. It wasn't working with our Lifehacker FTP server, and I think it might have to do with the kind of FTP server wasn't that. The app hasn't built in certain things to make it work with those kinds of FTP servers.
All right, well,
but anyway,
I don't know what a certain kind of FTP server is, but whatever, it didn't work well.
Hell if I know either.
Moving along, for the mobile phones, iPhone, Android, we talked about movie showtimes.
Oh yeah, so actually this is something worth talking about, because the movie Showtime options, and I assume this is probably the same for Android.
Although I don't know, because
you're going to find out,
because
Alan did that one. I picked Flickster after looking at a bunch of them, and there used to be this great app called Movies Now, which would not only show you the movie times and trailers and all this stuff, but you'd get if you wanted to go to a movie right now, it would say, these are the movies coming up in the next half an hour that are near you.
That's nice.
Or an hour or whatever, like however many fit in like 20. But that app went away because the licensing prices went way up for movie apps. And that happened because Fandango and other apps, movietickets.com presumably, they have their movie Showtime listings and they have their own app, and they want to drive traffic to their own apps. So a lot of these other apps couldn't afford it. And so Movies Now went away, and that was my favorite, and there really hasn't been anything that great since then. But Flickster, I found out, which I didn't like when it first came out for the iPhone, has gotten a lot better. There are a lot of trailers. They have DVD releases on there too. You can get Rotten Tomato reviews directly with the movie listing, and the movie listings are easy to come by. Also, the app is super fast. So.
Okay, so Flickster for iPhone. Whitson, we're running short on time, so why don't you go quick with our Android option?
For Android, we chose Fandango. Flickster is also available on Android. It's still a really great app, so you can definitely check that out. What's cool about Fandango is not only does it let you see movie showtimes, and not only the movie showtimes very accurate, but you can read reviews and even buy tickets right from the app.
Yeah, that's the big advantage.
Pretty baller.
With the official apps, for sure.
Yeah. So that's Fandango.
All right.
But there are a lot of other apps out there. You can check out the app directory for other alternatives.
Lifehacker.com/apps is where you can go. You get the constantly updating index of our favorite applications for various platforms. Anything you use, you'll probably find it there. If you don't see something there, give us an email. See if we can send it your way.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is it for this week. Thank you for joining us. We will be back next Monday. So have a great week.
If you'd like to ask us a question, send us an email at tips+asklhshow@lifehacker.com. Alternatively, leave us a message at 347-687-8109. Try to keep your questions to about 30 seconds so we can keep the show moving. And thanks for watching, listening, or however you're getting this podcast from the internet to your brain. See you next week.